Good morning. Welcome to Reading the Science of Mind in 1 Year. I am Reverend Rafe, Senior Minister and Spiritual Leader of the Center for Spiritual Living Common Ground in Central Maryland. Today is June 18th. So let's get started with the reading and we'll go from there. Here we go.
Reading for June 18th, Science of Mind, A Philosophy, a Faith, a Way of Life by Ernest Holmes. Reading from page 227, paragraph 4 through page 228, paragraph 1, using inclusive language.
Treating insanity. In treating one whose mind appears to be deranged, realize that there is but one mind, which mind is God and is perfect. This is the only mind there is. It is the mind of your patient. It is your own mind, this mind being a complete, perfect, and indivisible whole, cannot labor under a delusion, cannot for one moment lose its self-consciousness. After you have realized this truth about life, know that it is also true about the one whom you are treating. Their thought is perfect. If one should have a complete realization of this, knowing there is just the one mind, there would be no doubt or confusion, and the mentality of the patient would cease to be deranged. The practitioner must never allow themselves to think of the patient as having lost their mind. If once the consciousness of the practitioner becomes clouded by such a thought, they would be truly the blind leading the blind. The practitioner must believe that there is but one intelligence in the universe and that this intelligence is everywhere, flows in unlimited supply through every individual. A person's mentality is a point of universal mind, to which all things are known. In this mind, all people are rational and poised.
Let's take a breath. One of the challenges of looking at spiritual truth juxtaposed with condition is it can look like to our human understanding that we're just lying to ourselves, right? That we don't see what we see. Um, it's that place where we have physical symptoms of something in our physical body. It would be paramount to, I have a broken bone in my arm and I deny the existence of the broken bone. And that's not what Holmes is talking about. What he's talking about is not denying anything, but rather affirming something. And that's the trick, right? If I have a broken bone in my physical arm, then it makes sense for me to go get that taken care of by medical professionals that are also a point of infinite mind. They're a different individualized expression of one, but not separate. Infinite intelligence is operating through them in the same exact way it is operating through and as me, right? And when we really get that there's just one mind, one mind, one substance, mind being the same as substance, just a different word. It's just a synonym. And that is what we're referring to as whole, perfect, and complete. So the substance of us is whole, perfect, and complete. So when we say that there is no confusion in mind, we're claiming that presence in us. We're acknowledging the presence of perfection as the essence of our being and calling that into our awareness. Because when we know that, when we focus on that, that becomes our experience. Is there such a thing as stuff that happens in the human realm? Of course there is. And the human realm is this one mind expressing in multiplicity. And that, I think, is the most challenging thing for us to remember, especially when we're in the spin of something that doesn't feel spiritual, doesn't feel whole, perfect, and complete, is to remember that the essence of us, therefore the essence of our experience, is, and we can experience the wholeness, the completeness, and the perfection. We have to remember that that's what we are. It's not something that we can seek out and find and get. It's what we are made of. And when we get sidetracked into looking for it outside of ourselves, we are inadvertently denying its presence. And so, spiritual mind treatment, no matter what it's for, is always for remembering the truth, right? It's not about getting rid of anything, it's about affirming something. That's why we call it affirmative prayer. Where do those changes take place? In our spiritual mind. That's why we call it spiritual mind treatment. Because that's what we're healing, is the errant thought that is blocking our experience of the wholeness and the perfection and completeness that we are. I don't know if that's helpful for you. I know it helps me to remember that, oh, wait, no matter what I'm looking at, this is effect. And effect comes from thought. Thought moves mind, moves consciousness. And so change your thinking, change your life. Okay? And so then the treatment is about affirming what is true. And the more I know what is true, and the more I embody, the more I move what is true from here to here, the more deeply I experience that. And it is a journey. And it's a journey that, in my experience, is best held lightly. If there's no beating ourselves up, there's no guilt, shame, and blame. There's just course correction, experience of effect, which demonstrates what I'm actually thinking. And then I am at that power of choice to course correct. And I get a new experience, and I course correct, and I get a new experience. And it's really that simple. If I will just stop complicating it with all of the thoughts about the process that separate me from the truth of my being. So that's what I have to offer you this morning. And with that, I'm going to take us into our time of meditation and contemplation. And I invite you to just be present with whatever shows up. Don't try to push anything away. Don't try to make anything happen. Just practice being present. See what happens. Here we go. delicious it is to just be, to be in the presence, to be in the awareness of the presence, to practice the presence of one power, to recognize that it is everywhere present, to recognize that this one substance is all there is, by whatever name we call it. It is each name and so much more. It is the God of my understanding. It is absolute intelligence. It is the one reality. It is the singular self-existent substance that expresses itself in a multiplicity of form, never separate from itself, never bound by the human constructs of time and space. Time and space are this one expressing itself in physical form. And so it cannot be limited by an expression of itself. And I am that in form. I am made in the image and likeness. I am a desire of this infinite beingness to experience itself as this life that I'm living. And what is true of me is true of all creation. And in the absolute reality of one, I must be equally connected to every expression of the substance of my being. And so there is no separate anything, just a multiplicity of versions of expression of one thing. And so I claim and affirm the wholeness, the completeness, and the perfection of the substance of being, expressing as clear mental processes in and through every expression of itself. That any physical need that requires attention is attended to. That in this physical thing that we call our earthly world, that there is a recognition beyond enough, that there is a recognition that everything that is ever needed and desired is already available, is continuously available, that there is no need to stockpile and separate and hoard. And that the flow of infinite abundance becomes so evident that in this physical realm, every expression of life is cared for equally, beyond any physical constraints of money, property, or prestige. The givingness of life becomes the givingness of humanity in physical form. That the clarity of purpose to simply express life, to simply be peace, to be love, is expressing itself even now in, through, and as all of humanity, all of life, the cosmos, every blade of grass, everything, the wholeness of creation. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this experience that the word spoken is the word fulfilled, that there is an activity within the creative process that I call law that immediately makes it so. Because it cannot be in conflict with itself. One cannot conflict with one. And so it simply says yes to the desires of its own heart, to the mental equivalent of its own mind. It just says yes. And using all of the resources that it is in infinite possibility, it instantly makes it so. And so I rest in the assurance that it is done, which allows me to let go of all doubt and all fear, to surrender completely to the flow of life unfolding itself. So I surrender. I say yes. Ashe. Shalom. Aho. Amen. Amen. And so it is. Namaste.